So there has been some progress on regarding Hormuz, but hundreds of ships are still stranded. Sanctions have been a key point of concern for the Iranians when it comes to pathway for diplomacy. We have been keeping in mind there has been years of domestic mismanagement and international sanctions that have badly drained the Iranian economy. Having the sanctions removed on Iran is being interpreted as victory here. Iranians now are saying success has been met in that regard. Sanctions related to exports of oil have been removed. That comes after announcements by the U.S. Office of Foreign Asset Control through August 21st. How released frozen funds will be spent is still a matter of conversation between Tehran and Washington. Rhetorically speaking, at least diplomatically, things are getting a little bit better today. We've got a joint statement by the Omani and Iranian sides saying that they are talking about mechanism to reopen trade through the Strait of Hormuz. This is a positive indication. However, it remains to be seen how long it's going to take for the strait to reopen. And until then, we see hundreds of ships stranded on both sides. I said that earlier today, and it's confirmed to me right now by Al Jazeera that we have hundreds of ships stuck on both sides. This is not my opinion. This is just the news. People think that khalas, this is over. That's it. No more. Um, but the reality is uh, things are moving slowly. Ships are still stuck. Oil still not moving as before as the war. And the market is being fooled, which is okay. It's okay. I don't mind low oil prices. All I fear for is the bubble. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, I am working on a research paper regarding. I'm working on another paper, not a research paper. I'm working on another paper, best practices, or what would be best strategy to combat Section 219, formerly known as 224, out of the NDAA for 2026. So just keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, the death toll have risen because of Israel attacks in Lebanon. The Lebanese health ministry says the number of people that have been killed during Israel month-long invasion has risen to 4,192 people. The figure jumped after this ministry added 17 new deaths and the past 24 hours. At least 12,171 people, Lebanese people, have been wounded since the Israel war started on March 2nd. At least two people were killed today after Israeli forces opened fire on what Hezbollah said was a road clearance team in southern Lebanon. Israel's military called the victims terrorists. Iran presidents meet with the Pakistani army chief Asim Munir. Masoud Pezeshkian, who arrived in Islamabad earlier in the afternoon, met with the Pakistani army chief and chief of defense forces, Field Marshal Asim Munir. The visit has first foreign trip since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran on February 28th. Comes today after Pakistan and Qatar announced that the opening round of U.S. Iran talks in Switzerland have yielded a 60-day roundup towards a final agreement. During his meeting, Pakistan role in the promoting dialogue and de-escalating, acknowledging Islamabad effort to encourage a peaceful resolution at a time of this heightened geopolitical challenge. Basically, all that's happening is that the Pakistanis are working hard. The Iranians visited, so they left. The Iranian higher leadership was in Switzerland. They met with JD Vance. They figured out some basic stuff, and they left to Oman to finish hashing out what they would like to basically call covering the Strait of Hormuz and how they both will start managing the Strait of Hormuz. United States and Trump in particular says that, believe it or not, the Strait of Hormuz will not be charging anything. But reality is, the Iranian says they will be charging, they will be working with the Omanians, and the Strait of Hormuz will stay open. It sounds like to me that Trump is just trying to control public opinion in the United States. But what this does is gives an annual income of about $80 billion to Iran, to each of Iran and Oman individually each year. That is more than the $16 billion Oman makes from selling oil each year. Oman is seeing ka-ching, baby, ka-ching. And the distance between Oman and Iran and the Strait of Hormuz is so close, they basically consider that waterway all theirs. There's no international water there. It's all Oman or Iran. Make up your mind. Make up your mind, ya habibi. Let's see here. The issue of frozen assets was addressed in the MOU, but the extent definition was meant to be clarified in the negotiation. In the talks so far, there has been two versions on the table. The U.S. says it will release $12 billion of those assets on the condition that the money is used to purchase U.S. goods. Iran rejects this, insisting it will decide how those frozen assets are to be used. We're playing on the playground now. Those fights are going to go back and forth until they figure it out. There's a lot to hash. I'm like, they're saying 60 days. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, are you sure you're going to finish this in 60 days? Sounds like you don't have your shit straightened out yet. Yeah, looks like a mess to me. Yeah, it looks like a mess to me. FYI, I want to address some issues and then I'll have you guys start asking Q&A. Let me pull it out here. Out of everything. Pull it out. Oh, you guys have been asking a question. Is he dead already? Sounds good. Uh, Someone got upset yesterday because I said I was looking for an agent. I don't know what's wrong with that. But here's the reality check for you. Doing this type of work, speaking on a regular basis, getting so many paid subscriptions here and there, needs specific type of tax paperwork, need a specific type of entertainment lawyers, need a specific type of agent that can ease those things for you. An agent also gives me the opportunity to have speaking at universities, colleges, public events. If you want more of speaking, if you want YG to be spread everywhere, I need to have an agent. I don't see the problem in that. I'm not changing who I am. I'm not changing the way I talk. Everything comes out from my knowledge and expertise. Nothing is acting on here. So if you think getting an agent means I'm selling out, you have a wrong understanding of what an agent does. So if you have a problem with me having an agent, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I'm busting my ass. I have a team of two working every day to do this, and we're doing it from scratch. We need more help. So this is not selling out. This is getting improvement. This is looking for a better way to improve. We're not seeking attention. We're trying to spread the word. This is a way to get people educated. I don't understand. When you agree with someone that's spreading a message, all of a sudden you disagree when they're trying to spread that message. It doesn't work. And we're still too small to have an agent. And 1 week we lost 100 subscribers just because of the Substack algorithm being fucked up at the moment. We're talking to customer service and support about it. Like we haven't been too focused on even the placing on the top 10 or top 50 or top 60 at this point. We're just trying to answer questions and help people understand the Middle East. Other people came to me and told me, You don't take a side. Habibi, I'm not a politician. I'm not running for office. I'm not your representative. I'm not your senator. I'm not your president. I am here to give you honest feedback and review of everything that's happening. I am political, but I'm also realistic on a lot of things. Believing in black and white only supports the idea of dictatorship. Mohammed bin Salman thinks in black and white. You're either my enemy or you're my ally. You're getting beheaded or you're getting money. Even the Saudi symbol that you see of palm tree and two swords is black and white. You know the story behind it? The story of Saudi Arabia, symbol of a palm tree and two swords. Like the United States is the eagle with the olive tree branch and the arrows. The Saudi symbol is a palm tree and two swords. One person once asked, What does that mean? And I say to every politician when I was for the Saudi government representing them as a joke in the beginning, but it's the true story behind it. They say if you go forward, you get dates. You take a right, you take a left, you get a head off. As simple as that. That's black and white for you. No nuances, no details, no understanding of what's going on. Even light, when it goes through a prism, all of a sudden you see all the different colors comes out. Reality is colorful. Reality is not black and white. And even when you mix black and white, you have gray. So, understanding so much details about so many other people, being able to get yourself out of your own shoes and putting yourself in someone else's shoes, even if you disagree with them or hate them or you think they're evil, the only way you can win a different perspective is if you get out of your own shoes. In fact, the first rule of winning chess is now undermining your own enemy. And when you undermine your own enemy, not put yourself in their own shoes, all of a sudden you don't know their next game. So being so much on black and white not only isolate you and isolate your ideas and isolate everyone else that you're trying to pitch to, but it only makes you more authoritarian. We're not pushing authoritarianism here. We're pushing knowledge. We're pushing education. We're pushing equity and equality. Isn't that what Western principles are based on? You call it idealistic, I call it realism. Like, how do you expect to understand the Middle East if you only see things in black and white? Why do you think we're still in conflict in the Middle East? Exactly because people think in black and white. He was saying, "Oh, you're going to continue losing subscribers because you don't take a side." I don't need to take a side on the issue of Palestine. All I need to see is something wrong is happening and say something wrong is happening. Here's the other thing. You don't need to be an expert on every issue, and you need to take a side on every issue. Not everyone is a president. Not everyone is representing the whole world. Come on, wait a second. Why does everything for you has to be whether what side you are on? I don't need to be on a side. I just need to see something wrong, call it wrong, leave it. Go, move on. No, you got to take a side now. Same thing with the college rivalry. I started recognizing this bullshit in college rivalry because we don't have college rivalries in Saudi Arabia. It's such a foreign thing. KU, K State, fuck KU, fuck K State. Who cares? Literally, who cares? But now, when I see something wrong, like Israel killing innocent children, I'm gonna say this is wrong. When a suicide bomber goes somewhere and conducts a terrorist attack, I'm gonna call it wrong and move on. There are issues that you need to focus on. There are things that are gonna be more urgent for you if you don't focus on it. The issues that are more important is the NDAA, Section 219. Your ability to have a sovereign right of making a sovereign decision of when to attack and when to hold weapons and when to sell them. That affects you today and affects your sovereignty tomorrow. If that happens, even the causes that you care about no longer matters because you can't do shit about it tomorrow legally. Even if you protest it. So how about you take a second, understand what Section 219 will do to you, and do something about it. There are things that you need to be very opinionated about, but not everything you need to take a side on. Sorry, I don't know too much about this. All I see is something wrong. I will move on. This is something wrong. I'll move on. You don't need to waste all your spoons on all the world issues. You're not a Malala. You're not Obama. I'm not telling you don't be one if you want to be one. but don't feel like the world weight has to be on your shoulder and every case on the world stage has to be your own issue. You should be informed about what's happening, but you shouldn't feel like it's every single thing is your own responsibility. It's your responsibility to know what's happening and be updated, but you're not responsible for, oh, we got to lead an action now on this issue. We got to lead an action now on that issue. No, even nonprofits have to focus on one issue, two issues max. Organization, any organization, even LGBT organization, when you go to them, this is a non-violent, anti-violent organization. Oh, okay. So what do you deal with? Oh, we deal with domestic violence. We deal with kids who are human trafficked. We deal with the disowned people. That's an organization that only deals with domestic violence and anti-violence related to the LGBT community only. You don't see them focusing on something else. You're not Superman. Even Martin Luther King focused on one issue. He was informed about other issues. He talked about issues that are involved with his main project, but you can't focus on a billion things. You either pick eyes, you either pick the Trump administration. You have to choose. You're going to be distracted by everything else. So take a minute, take a breath, and figure out what is your actual priorities are and what actually drives you the most. And don't burn yourself. Understand your limits. Know how much you can actually give without burning yourself much. The wisdom goes a little that is repeatable is better than too much that is incremental. Do something a little every day is better than one day I spend all of that wasting my energy and then I'll be burnt out for the rest of the week. Take it step by step. Start by maybe posting here, posting there, researching this, researching that. That's a good way to start. Make a phone call here, make a phone call there. These phone calls take a lot of times. So you don't have to take one day just to make those phone calls. You can make phone calls. I can make one phone call each afternoon. So I decide to make one phone call this afternoon. That's all I can do. I don't have to give 60 phone calls every day. I'm talking if you're calling your senator or representative about a certain issue. Just an example. I know people who are abolitionists. What they do is they sit down and they write people who are in prison. What do? They don't do it all day, every day. They can't. They say they write, a letter or two a day or a week. They do it on a regular basis, but they don't burn themselves out. So, one, what is your passion? Two, what is the cause you want to fight for? Three, recognizing the limits that you have and the time that you have. Four is finding a coalition or a group that you can work with. Working alone doesn't do much. In Arabic, we say one hand doesn't clap. And I tried in my childhood to, try to prove my parents wrong. I tried all different ways to clap with one hand. I couldn't. I tried to figure it out just to, I was that type of child. I busted my ass trying to figure out how I could clap with one hand. I couldn't. So you got to work with people. You got to work with people. So you got to work with teams. That's how it works. Coalitions, organizations, volunteer. You don't have experience? That's okay. You don't have experience? That's okay. Find if you have an ACLU chapter you can volunteer at. See if you can become an ACLU Star Volunteer. They have a program called Star Volunteer. They have their own lobby days. They have their own phone calls day. They have their own uh, grassroots organizing. It depends on which issues they're doing. They can take you out and give you certain trainings as well on their time. So why not? Find out what organization is out there involved in your community that is already doing what you want to do and see if you have an opportunity to volunteer. Not only you would be participating on the things that you believe in, but this is the perfect opportunity for you to one, learn, and two, have a network. Have a network. You have to have a network. And a lot of people ask me, Wajeeh, how were you so able to avoid the Saudi government from kidnapping you and human trafficking you back to Saudi Arabia? Why hasn't the Saudi Arabia been able to assassinate you? And what things have you done in order to prevent that? I have a death penalty in Saudi Arabia, in case you don't know that. I'm the first openly queer person from Saudi Arabia, and I'm openly an atheist, and I have a death sentence on my head. One time I was still in and out of the safe house because in 2016, I had to run away and go into a safe house in Kansas City, much like you see in movies. It was like, it was a motel room, and all I had was noodles for months and months and months, almost 6 months, 7 months to a year. I forgot. I lost count by then. And I told him, I did not rely. Arabs are very well connected, especially if you come from a very wealthy family. And I understood the importance of that. So what I did is I built my own connection 100% isolated from my family. I met former governor of Kansas, started introducing myself to state representatives and state senators. Even though I wasn't a U.S. citizen, I was only a student. I wrote a recommendation for the president of Kansas, wrote a request for the president of Kansas State University and uh, Sue Peterson, the lobbyist of Kansas State University. And I asked them to join the board of governors and political relations for the president board. And I was lucky enough that they have accepted that request. Usually, the only students on that board are students who are the vice president and the president who were elected by fellow students to be their student president. But I went out of my way and I reached out. They understood that I was the culture and media coordinator for the Saudi club, and they understood how many Saudi students were there and wanted this representation on the board. So they said, absolutely. So every opportunity I had to get my hands involved with local politicians or local representatives, I did. I went out and I introduced myself at the time before I understood all the complexity of how complicated and how bad the police can be in the US, but I still went out of my way and I introduced myself to Riley County Police Department because I was sick and tired of the police and the FBI and coming and spying on us on every Friday prayer. And we worked out a deal and created an ambassadorship between the police and the Muslim community. Anytime there was an opportunity for me to step up, I didn't ask permission to step up. I just stepped up. Every time there was an opportunity to meet someone and build a connection, I did. So when push comes to shove, and the day that I was under threat of being kidnapped, it happened really quick. Somehow, some way, my parents were having a tracker on me after I escaped Manhattan, Kansas, and I went to a safe house in Kansas City. And what happened is I was still trying to finish one more course at Kansas State University, and I was dealing with a professor that was a close friend of my family. He told me like he would protect me and he would share my information and so on and so forth. And we were finishing a paper regarding the political economy of ISIS. And I had to drive back from Kansas City to Manhattan, Kansas, which is about 2 hours. And I had to meet him at a coffee shop. Went to that coffee shop. We sat down. We're talking about the paper. And all of a sudden, I see my parents come in. And like shit hits the wall, basically. You gotta come back. You gotta blah, blah, blah. They're like, they forced my car. They took my car away. And before they took my phone, I called, I texted Captain Tim Hegarty. I told him, meet me at this address, no questions asked. No questions asked. I need you now. My life is in danger. My family is already very close to the Saudi government. And my dad was hoping that I'd get locked up in the basement or something and call the Saudi government and get me human trafficked back to Saudi Arabia or something. I told them that my friend uh, from Riley County is coming on the way and that I have a consultation with them that I have to do. So, regardless, you can't keep me in the house. They took away my phone. They took away my car that my dad basically gave me for my graduation. And I left that house with two trash bags and a no goodbye with no one in the house. If it wasn't for my connections, if it wasn't for my work, if it wasn't for the continuous connections that I built, and it wasn't for how people were grateful for the shit that I've been doing, people would have not stepped up to help me. The next thing that happened is um, my fraternity advisor, no questions asked, stepped in, put me in his own Airbnb, not Airbnb, bed and breakfast. He owns a historical house in Manhattan, Kansas, and he put me in that house for a night. My other fraternity's brothers showed up, and I was taken back to the safe house where my family can't reach me. When I entered the safe house with the Kansas City Anti-Violence Project, the first thing I asked for is, I want to volunteer. The rules and regulations wouldn't allow someone that they're serving to volunteer in their organization. It is in my blood. I need to be active. I need to be involved. I need to go in. I need to get my hands dirty. And I felt like I was in prison. So every day I would dress up, and I was still houseless, but I had a lot of dress up clothes. I like to dress up. I would dress up and I would walk my ass to a gay bar so I could just be meeting people because I was legally in the US, but legally not allowed to work. So there's nothing I could do. I was in a safe house until I get my permission to go back to work. I got my asylum, and the first thing I got out of the safe house, and the first thing I became is a volunteer with the Kansas City Anti-Violence Project. A year after that, I joined their board of directors, and I found out that there was corruption and people embezzling money from the organization, and we had to deal with those lawsuits, and that's why I basically joined, is because I found out like how bad shit was and I wanted to fix it. Unfortunately, the organization is no longer there because of that embezzlement. But if it wasn't for those connections and those nonprofits and that type of volunteering, I wouldn't be here. Community can be annoying, but it can be the thing that saves your life. Again, the West grew up on the ideology of Socrates, which is based on individualism. And we grew up on a culture of, uh, oh my God. We grew up on the ideology of, not Sun Tzu. Uh, Confucius. Oh, you guys already got it. Confucius. Confucius based his ideology on the community first and then individualism. And if you read both of them, you'll find that they both have wisdom in their talks, especially about the importance of individualism on one side and the importance of community. And I say it again over and over, there needs to be a balance between your individualism and your community. Community needs to have enough space between you and them to allow you to have your own personality and character and to be who you are. And also, you need to understand that without that community, you're not there. The United States is great because of the people that's in it that's making it great. If the United States is empty, then it's just North America. So take a minute, think about it. Think about what kind of community you want to build. Think about what kind of community you want to find and be part of that community. See if you can join it. See if you can create it. Maybe that's your next mission. I always say if you want to fix the world, you got to fix your house. Got to start from you first before we start with everyone else. Get your shit together, figure it out. It might take you a second, but if you're not prepared to work, then you need to take a second to get prepared. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's it. Someone said, I want to be in a community where people give a shit about each other. That's exactly what I'm preaching. See if I can go to your questions. I apologize for taking ever. Cash flow, mashallah, tabarakallah. Cash flow, when you write something, you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mashallah, cash flow. Could you just two thing? That's too much to read, brother. We love you, but wallahi, eh, I'll read there's a lot going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. What whose account of Switzerland hold up? As long as they haven't agreed on something, there's no agreement. As long as they have their own interpretation of the agreement is worthless. And then nothing has been signed yet. It's all talk. It's all in the air at the moment. So each side is going to be pushing their own narratives until the final narrative that's signed on comes out. But until then, there is no actual final narrative on it, and each side will try to flip it their own way. What really happened with the frozen assets? What happened with the frozen assets? It should be released to the Iranians. The frozen assets, I think, are either in Qatar, or if they're in the United States, they'll be transferred to Qatar most likely, and then back to Iran, or Iran will be able to use it through Qatar. The Strait of Hormuz generally open, not genuinely open yet. No, they're allowing small number of ships to pass through, but nothing like the previous numbers of the nothing like the numbers before the war. And then is the consensorship or where does the joint admission with Iran fits? Now they're not calling it the easy pass. They're calling it fees for taking care of the safety and security and maintenance of the Strait of Hormuz, and they're allowed to charge that according to their own laws and international law because they're so close to each other that there is no space for international water. It's all their own territorial waters, according to them. Has this war flipped Iran from its points of peak isolation? Yes, this has definitely changed Iran from being an isolated state to being open to the rest of the world economy. Believe it or not, you can buy oil from Iran now from the United States. You can buy Iranian oil. You can buy yourself those Iranian carpets that you want to buy. That's you've been wanting to get your hands on that I know that none of us can afford unless you're one of the 1%, then or the middle class, higher middle class. Those some of these carpets go 100,000, 200,000, couple $1 million, and they take maybe 2, 3, 4 years to make, and they make them in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, with natural materials, mostly silk or wool. Very, very expensive, and the thinner the threads are, the more expensive they are because you have to have more threads. So, you know, I want to be like Aladdin and have a Persian rug, but we'll see. I wouldn't even have it on the floor. I would probably hang it up. But yeah, yeah, you and I cannot afford a Persian rug, a good one. And Iran will be able to sell their produce now, not only to the Gulf states, but to the rest of the world. They are a breadbasket. They produce a lot of goods. The money they will receive will be thrown into their infrastructure to rebuild. One thing Iran is definitely struggling with is corruption and mismanagement of their waterways. Iran is supposed to be a rich water country, but because of 4 decades of mismanagement of waterways, now it's going drought. And Tehran as a city is actually sinking because of that drought. I don't know if you know, but now you know. So Iran needs to fix that issue as soon as possible, and they might have to spend billions of dollars just on that. Uh, Iran pivot to China now, structural. So here's the honest relations between China and Iran. Iran needs China and needed China before this, but China has been taking advantage of Iran, where they use Iran as a play card against the West, and they ignore the promised investments that they have promised the Iranians to do in Iran. So the Chinese have promised to create roads, have promised to create infrastructure, dams, and so on and so forth. Never done anything of it. So at times they come out in support of Iran when it suits them, and when it doesn't suit them, they ignore the Iranians. That's the honest relations between China and Iran. Now, the Iranians need the Chinese to buy oil from them regardless. So that's the full circle of life. Why won't Iran throw Trump a bone? Because they know if they throw a Trump a bone, he goes another mile. They've been specifically studying Trump. They have psychiatrists that understand his mental status. They analyze his mental status, and based on that, they give advices to the leadership of the Iranian government. And the messaging of the Iranian government definitely goes through psychiatrists and therapists to specifically target Trump's mental state of mind. They believe that he's not mentally well, and they believe that he has Alzheimer's, and that they need to talk to him in a certain way. So they also know that giving Trump a single inch means giving him another mile. That's just how he operates. He always takes advantage of anything they give him. So they know that giving him anything won't result in them benefiting much. And they know that they have the upper hand. They're not hurting as much as the United States is. They're not hurting as much as Trump is hurting. They are struggling economically. They have inflation like no shit other country does, but they can hold it. The United States can't. It's like you as an adult, you can hold your shit together for a second to go to the bathroom, but a child may not. You have to let the child go first. That's the best way I can put it. The United States has a lot of people used to a lot of comfort and a lot of ease and a lot of technology and a lot of goods from all across the world. They're not used to being cut out. They don't have it in them. The diaper philosophy. basically, basically the diaper philosophy. Yeah. How much is internal Iranian dissent shaping the talks? Not that I know of, because they're good at clapping back and killing. That we think we have an estimate of 30,000 people just got killed by the Iranian themselves, for the Iranian government. They don't have a problem doing that. They don't have a problem using violence against their own people, and they're still in control. In fact, if the Iranian government falls, all these IRGC militias would become their own countries, and they would fight whatever that's left. The whole way that Iran is designed is not to fall apart. Literally, they designed it in a way where it's impossible for you to decripple them. Look at the Iranian governmental structure and come back to me. Look at their checks and balances and come back to me. Look at the number of officials they have and come back to me. Once you understand the complexity of the Iranian government, you'll be like, oh, well, that's why. As soon as you kill Mushtaba Khamenei, they have a different one ready for you. Don't worry. Wajeeh, how did you adjust from extreme wealth to a trash bag of stuff and sleep in a hotel room and eat noodles? Well, I after the motel, I actually was in my car from house to house, couch surfing, and sometime even sleeping in the car. So it wasn't just a safe house. Hard reality hits. You have to face the truth and you live by it. Um, but a lot of people stood by my side. A lot of people stood shoulder to shoulder and showed me support, and I'm very grateful for them. It plays a big part. It plays a big part when you have a lot of support and people who believe in your cause. It makes a difference. So I had people that stood up by my side, and it was hard. It wasn't easy. I never paid a bill in my life before then, and I didn't know how to save money. I didn't know how to spend money. I didn't know how shit works. I was very oblivious to a lot of things because I was a sheltered child growing up. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I definitely struggled, but still finding my way. I still have a lot of you supporting me, so technically I'm still getting support from my community that is trying to make a difference in my life. Not a question, but this is what I see. I have taken a few days off social media as a test of society. I went around as usual, shopping, concerts, etc. We miss you, Greg. And that in that would you would have zero idea as to anything going on around in the world we are living in. Yes, the Americans live in a bubble. The war is not happening in America. The United States only got attacked in Pearl Harbor and 9/11. So and some terrorist attacks here and there. But a foreign attack on US soil, you have not experienced that. You don't even know what it's like. In fact, your economy would tank if that happens. So, yes, you are living in a bubble. You might be affected by the prices of oil, but if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world, you will be isolated and you will be oblivious and you'll have no idea what's going on. You're absolutely correct. But gee, what is the mechanism for holding leaders responsible for war crimes? Who initiates it? I don't know who initiates it, but we have the International Criminal Court. I think we need to demand the International Criminal Court to act regarding the Trump administration. There should be some things to do there. You can demand uh, impeachment by changing all of the by all of the federal representatives and senators that you have. Anyone that disagrees with the point that the president shouldn't be uh, impeached should be removed immediately. Oh, you don't support the impeachment of the president? Fuck off, bitch. Next. Excuse my language. I mean, that's the honest truth. That's the feedback. You can go protest in the United States, but apparently now it's against the law to protest. What is your only way? To go and vote. And now, even voting is being stolen, apparently. Trump is complaining about stolen elections for years and years and years now. Apparently, he won the election because he stole it. That's not according to me. We'll be interviewing this. Uh, we'll be interviewing. This will hold on Thursday. What is today? Today's Tuesday. I'll have. I'm gonna have a phone call with her in an hour where we'll discuss all the issues, and we will schedule a podcast interview for you guys with her on Thursday. So keep your eyes open and we'll be discussing this shit. It goes long back. I'm not telling you to believe in it. I'm not telling myself to believe in it, but it's at least important to look into it. It's been investigated. We're looking to get also, if you guys have contacts with Greg Pallet, he's apparently also talked about this a little bit, and I reached out to him, but I haven't heard back. So if you guys know him and want to reach out to him to tell him to get back to me, that would be really appreciated. So we can also have him on Thursday. So we can have also an investigative journalist talk about this from a journalistic perspective. That would be important. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll be covering more news. I have another paper that I'm working on publishing hopefully soon in the next few hours. But like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a recording. Make sure to join the conversation and then come join us on Substack. We have an amazing community that is working on grassroots organizing, that is working on uh, common initiatives to unite this nation. And it's possible. I think it is possible, and I think it's doable. And everyone agrees that that is their focus. So stand up for what you believe in, stand up for unity, and stand up for humanity. I appreciate you tuning in. And as always, like I say, مع السلامة, bye bye, بالإنجليزي goodbye. Oh, last part. I have updated the subscription fees for my channel. I officially made the yearly subscription and the monthly subscription the cheapest thing possible. I changed the settings where they don't even charge you extra if you're on a different platform. I didn't know they had a setting where they charge you extra if you're on a different platform or not. So now it's only $5 a month or $30 a year. The VIP membership I changed to $1,000 a year, and it's flexible, so you can choose if you want to pay less than $1,000. You can pay less than $1,000, but we're making it way more affordable for anyone and everyone. If you can't afford it, I'm gonna post a tweet. I'm gonna post a message on my Substack. If you click on the link, you can get 6 month free subscription. And if the link doesn't work, I would really appreciate if you could leave a comment in there and let me know that the link didn't work, and I will get your contact information and add you. If I have added you and somehow you've lost your membership, also comment in that last thread that I posted. I will take your contact information and send it to Substack support to get that fixed. We've been working on getting some of those fixed out. So that's not my doing. That's Substack glitching, not me. And I've been working on getting that fixed. It's been glitching to the point where it took away 100 subscribers in a matter of 2 3 days. So it I'm figuring things out. Substack can be frustrating at times, but it is what it is. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow.